Live from Gold Stadium in New Orleans, Louisiana, Cox Sports Television is proud to present NOLA Gold Rugby. Today, the NOLA Gold take on Rugby United New York. Hey, welcome to NOLA Gold Stadium. I'm your host, Scott Alexander. And as you can see, we have another Aussie. Mark Stabina is on vacation down under. So we have Dan Power right here. He is a former French elite player. He's also a former U.S. Eagle. And to our right, you know our mainstay, 2011 and 12 national champion and local rugby legend himself. His name is Ian McNulty, and we'll start with you, Ian. Hey, by the way, this team is 3-0, as you know. And one of the things we talked about before going in is this is the battle of the unbeatens. One is 3-0. The other, Rooney, they like to call themselves, they're 1-0. But in the power ranks of USA Rugby, they are 1-2 right now in the MLR.
Scott, a lot of people around the country are going to be watching this game. Can NOLA hang on? Can they start the season with a 4-0 start with all of their home games here lined up? That would be huge for them. Meanwhile, Rooney, they've come off of one game and that win, and they are really interested in showing the league what they're capable of.
Hey, NOLA is the talk of Major League Rugby right now, but one guy that hasn't even suited up yet for his first game, they call him the Beast. Cam Dolan, the number 8, is out again. He was playing some international ball, but this guy was signed 2 weeks ago. His name is Tony Lamborn.
Again, he turned heads when NOLA signed him, and NOLA has had a really good squad to start things off here, but this is another international experience that he's bringing in, and also involvement and aggression. That's what the coaches like out of this guy. If the ball is anywhere near his realm, he wants a piece of it. Now, he's coming off of an ankle injury, so we're going to have to see how he does coming into this first debut for NOLA Gold, but expectations are high.
Hey, Ian, we're both relatively new talking rugby on television, but one guy that's been doing it for almost a decade, he is, of course, Dan Power from Australia. Welcome, Dan.
Scott, great to be here in New Orleans with Ian and yourself. Very excited for this game. New York, like you said, coming off the back of 2 byes onto a very steamy afternoon here in New Orleans for a February day. The test of the conditioning will be big for them. One of the players to watch, though, he shifts to fullback today in replace of the injured Luke Hume. That's Chris Martina, USA 7-star. The battle between him and JP Eloff, well, it could be a preview for post-World Cup for that coveted number 15 jersey for the USA Eagles.
And like we said earlier, this is a battle. If you looked at USA Rugby, they do their power rankings. This is the number 1 versus number 2 team. Stay tuned. It's coming up soon right here on Cox Sports Television. NOLA Gold Rugby on Cox Sports Television is brought to you by Michelob Ultra Pure Gold, the official beer of the NOLA Gold. By Boomtown, the official hotel and casino of the NOLA Gold. And by Louisiana Tourism. Don't live in the moment, be the moment, and feed your soul. Welcome to Gold Stadium. It's NOLA Gold Rugby, and they face Rugby United of New York today in a battle of the unbeatens. Let's go to the starting lineups, which are powered by NOLA LED.
Scott, a couple players to look for in this game for the Gold. Eric Howard, your captain. He's coming back for this game. He's the man in the middle as the hooker. Lotta's riding on him. Kyle Bailey, your flanker. He's fast. He's tough. He's back too. And Scott Gale coming back off of a concussion last week. A lot on the line for him.
And Dan, here's the Rooney starting lineups. You know this team well.
Yeah, I certainly do, Scott. The big change, Paddy Ryan pulls out late with an injury, replacing the starting lineup by Kirk Hamilton. He'll wear the number 3 jersey today. In the back line, another late change as Luke Hume succumbs to a hamstring injury. Mark O'Keefe will bounce onto the right wing. Matina back to fullback at 15. This one sets up for an absolute ripper as we take a look at the benches. And warm conditions here for February in New Orleans. Very big test off both these benches today, Scott.
And that, of course, was the starting lineup brought to you by MKB Rugby United New York.
And moments away from kickoff here, it'll be Carl Marsh, the Leinsterman, who gets us underway off his right boot. The official today, Paul-Henri Corbière, blows the whistle to get things underway as round 4 of Major League Rugby begins with NOLA Gold getting the first touch outside their 22. Bidens takes a settler as Youngert really embracing the gold culture with the gold hair today. And Gale, returning from concussion, gets that ball over the halfway line as we see Matina with his first touch at 15. Little chip over the top. Not a bad option from Matina. Bounce, so sits up beautifully. Now O'Keefe as he comes off the bench for the start on the right wing for Rooney today. Assumption at the back, Marsh. As they go wide, Rochford offloads Fawcett, great hand. Marsh stepping as he's taken down. Again, Fawcett another touch, showing the skills there, the big man in the number 2 jersey as Deacon. He's met by a wall of gold defence. Bumping run from Sumption, the former Houston Sabercat, has travelled up the I-95 to find his way to New York for 2019 as Marsh doesn't find any success there through the midfield. A man familiar with NOLA Gold, Matt Houston, gets his first touch against his old team. Now Petrie with the ball, finds Leonard. Leonard had options inside and out, but was well handled there by New Orleans. Petrie to his left, quick hands, picks up Houston, another touch. And you can see no love lost there, Scott, between the old teammates as NOLA come in and pound Matt Houston. Now Wallace Sims on this left wing could be turned over. It is. No, not legally, says Henri Corbière, as Tristan Blewett, his first contribution is penalised right on the 22.
And you see the head coaches right here, Nate Osborne, a fellow Aussie, Dan, like you, and of course the legend from New York, Mike Tolkien.
Dan, I'm really impressed by the start for Rooney here. Really aggressive. You saw that chip kick there, testing things out there, testing the gold line, and a determined attack here has put him in a really nice position with this line out to strike first. 2 minutes into this game, it has been mostly Rooney.
Back to those coaches real quick. Hey, by the way, they coached with each other 2015 World Cup. Obviously, Mike was the head coach, and Nate from New Orleans was the backs coach, the attack coach.
They're two guys who know each other very well, battling it out. In Tolkien and Osborne, that one stolen by Thompson at the top, tipped down. Advantage will come to New York. Petrie finds Marsh. Marsh, great work from Folding. No advantage though, will come back to the initial knock on as the pressure, it stays on NOLA Gold here with the New York scrum about 10 metres out from the line.
New York got pretty lucky there, but the luck only took them so far. That ball could have been Gold's right there. They recover it, move it back out. Looks like Gold is going to take it away, but of course the ref blows it up to that initial knock-on. So our first scrum, Dan, as a forward myself, I always look forward to see how the packs are going to do. Who's going to set the tone? Who's going to prove their dominance in the set pieces? NOLA's been very good so far in the season with these set pieces.
Well, the anticipation will continue here, Ian, as they'll reset the first scrum. I was really looking forward to the battle between Paddy Ryan and Hubert Bidens. That late withdrawal from Paddy Ryan has probably taken a little bit of sting out of that front row battle, Ian.
Well, right here is their chance to prove themselves. They're knocking on the NOLA Gold door here very early in the game. The hometown is trying to put their scrum, their strength behind their scrum. Let's see what they can do.
Sit.
Petrie with the put in. Ball at the back with Deacon. Now Petrie goes wide. Leonard crashes, well handled though by Gale. Now Breakley, USA Eagle, looking to work his way back into Gary Gold's squad as well. Petrie finds Marsh. Marsh inside. That's his signature move, Marsh. So dangerous for Leinster with that inside ball. Now they go wide. Foden, the international, 34 caps for England, looking to get his first try.
No.
For Rooney. And now spill forward under pressure there. This will be advantage to New Orleans. As you feel the whole stadium breathe a sigh of relief as the defensive ball stays intact and Elof clears off that right boot up towards the 22. And the first real test of the defense, Ian, is a successful one.
Really aggressive play there by New York to come out swinging in this match. New Orleans, you got to think they caught a few lucky breaks there. That ball was a little loose too. It got a little sloppy there. You saw New York when they had the ball, they gave it up a few times and it came back to bite them right there, right at the try line. That might have been a case of try line fever.
You see Matty Houston there taking that ball. Don't be surprised if New York start running him as more of a decoy runner. Very enthusiastic defensive line against their former teammate. Could open up some opportunities just on either side of Houston's shoulders. New York, though, they form the maul off this lineup. Sits at the back with Fawcett. You see him there wearing the 2 jersey in the back. Played for the Glendale Raptors last year.
No, now we release. Advantage, side entry, 8 wide.
Side entry there against New Orleans as the advantage comes to New York. And this is well within the range of Carl Marsh if he deems this a kickable opportunity.
Scott, what we just saw there was a pretty well textbook executed maul from New York. Again, massing all of your forwards there, your big players, marching it down the field, seeing how far they can get. In that case, a penalty set them up nicely. They're going to go for touch to get them very, very, very close to the New Orleans try line. Right, we're back where we started just a minute ago before New Orleans cleared the ball.
Well, gentlemen, very clear intentions here from New York early on. 2 opportunities at penalties inside the 22, both declined. They are looking for the try. A very aggressive opening here for Mike Tolkien and his side. Fawcett on point. Finds Sumption at the back. Maul is set again. They start to roll this around to the right here, bringing in numbers. In comes Leonard. In comes O'Keefe. They peel off to the right. It comes down just 5 out from the line as Petrie numbers to the left. Picks up Sumption. Sumption spins away from the first, peels out of the second. Sumption. Big opportunity to the left here. They need quick ball. They get jammed up again. Still to the left. They must go. Marsh. Flat pass, 1 bounce, goes to Matina, under pressure from Elof, 15 on 15, and blew it with the assist, does well to shut that down. Houston, you know Matt Houston will be looking for a big game against his former club here today. Now the professor, Rochford, has a PhD in scruminomics. Not a real subject, just made that one up. As Marsh, cross kick, opportunity to the corner. Tiko Asuvat does well to handle. No advantage, though. This one right in front of the post, gentlemen. Surely 3 points now.
As I'm learning the term, scruminomics wasn't in the book I was reading. I love throwing a new one there.
What a feisty series of phases we saw here, Dan. New York, like you said earlier, they've seen game tape. They know what NOLA Gold is capable of. They wanted that try. They put themselves in position a few times, but it looks like finally they're going to take the 3 and see what they can do from here. This should be a chip shot for them.
And why not? Hey, by the way, NOLA Gold, they've scored 36, 40, and 41, by far the leading scoring team in MLR right now.
It'll come onto the boot of Carl Marsh here. He really is the conductor of this talented back line for Rooney. Has the luxury of internationals, Petrie on the inside, Foden on the out. Looks to add 3 points here. And for those tuning in for the first time, very similar there to what you would see in American football when there's a flag at the line. You almost get a free play there, which is why Marsh tried that crossfield kick. He knew he had an advantage for the penalty, and so he went for the kick. And there's another successful kick. 3 points to 0. An early lead here for Rooney.
The NOLA Gold hit the CST airwaves again next month. Don't miss it when they travel to take on the Warriors March 2nd and the SaberCats March 16th. We're back at Gold Stadium on March 23rd against the Austin Elite, and then off to Glendale to face the Raptors on the 30th of March. For the full broadcast schedule, visit coxsportstv.com. And by the way, this is only the third time the Gold have trailed all season, and the other two were in the first half last week, 3-0 and 10-3.
Well, Leonard will want that one back. He puts the hand up, and the NOLA faithful, they are quick to let him know about that one as well. The inside center puts that one down. Not the exit set Mike Tolkien would have been looking for after early points. Now New Orleans have this opportunity.
Lucky break there for New Orleans, because you have to admit the first 9 minutes of this game, it's been almost all New York, and most of it deep in NOLA Gold territory. Well, here they have their scrum behind the New York 22. Let's see what the big boys can do up front, see if they can get that ball out to their quick, speedy, dangerous backs.
Very flat setup in attack here. Foley at fly half wearing the 10. Look for him to be aggressive at the line. They come down the blind side to Blewett. Wants a one-on-one opportunity, Blewett. And that is an early victory for Wallace Sims over his opposite number as he bundles him into touch.
Yeah, they gave the ball to the wild man. That's what they call him down here in New Orleans. Tristan Blewett, the South African, making his debut this season in the United States with the NOLA Gold. We've seen some electrifying plays out of that young man so far this season. He was off on his own there, though. Didn't have many options to move that ball once it came to him.
And Blewett's been doing it on both sides of the field. We've seen some comfort behind tackles that have saved tries and ultimately saved games. He's been doing it. He's the only guy that scored a try in all 3 matches as well.
Well, you play the hot hand, don't you, Scott? You go to the man who's scoring tries. That time Blewett, though, was unable to get around Wallace Sims. An early victory for the winger for Rooney there. Big contact comes in again. Striffler with an absolute bone rattler. Wallace Sims to the left boot. Great clearing kick. Well, what a last 60 seconds it's been for Wallace Sims. A tackle on Blewett. Now that clearing kick.
That bone rattler you mentioned there, Dan, I love that expression. Definitely going to steal that one for later broadcasts. But that was one that you could hear that register with the fans in the stands here. The oh, from all these New Orleans fans who, believe me, are loving this team and they're loving rugby in their backyard.
Bailey, Canadian international, takes that one at 2. Striffler now on the receiving end of a big hit himself. You see side entry there. Looks like against number 6, Assumption.
I have to say, thus far, I think our ref, Mr. Coubier, has been pretty patient with the whistle and keeping it mostly silent. But every now and then he's seen something he doesn't like and blown it up. In that case, New York entering that ruck from the side. We're going to go through the gate, of course.
That is a 5. I'm going to 15.
Now the line out coming for New Orleans inside the 22. A second opportunity last time off the scrum. Went down the blind side. Blewett this time setting up just on the inside shoulder of Gale. And again, you see Gale and Foley in the midfield with Howden very, very flat as they'll go for the maul. Ball at the back now with Howard. Still rolling forward. Youngert patiently waiting at the back. Now they go flat, Youngert. Short ball. Foley can't get through. New Orleans is forced to reset here. Bailey again around to that left-hand side. Still with New Orleans here as they push to the middle of the field. Right in the shadows of the goalposts here are New Orleans now. To the left they go. Gale didn't like what he saw to his left, ducks ahead. Unselfish play there from the fly half, not to pressure his outside men. Through the phases, Eloff, drop goal, Eloff, oh, ricochets off the post, sits up, Bailey with the jump, Bailey with the dive! What a try for New Orleans! Well, luck favours the brave, gentlemen, and NOLA Gold, they're lucky today.
Luck favors the bull, Dan, and in this case, I think it favors the gold. That was one of the most unlikely try scores you're going to witness. Of course, they were going for that drop goal. You can kick that from anywhere you please. Looked like he had it dead to rights, but then goes off the post into the hands of one of his big, tall forwards who merely has to lean over and put it down on the ground for that try.
And if you're an American football fan, that's like the playoff game the Bears lost in the playoffs with the double doink. It hit off the goalpost in that game twice. This one it hit off, and they got the lucky bounce to Kyle Bailey for the score.
Well, I think if you ask JP Eloff, he'll call that one a set play.
Exactly.
He told Kyle Bailey, let me just knock this one off the upright. You go up and get it, big man.
Somewhere, somebody is fiercely scribbling that on a whiteboard to prove that they had a plan the whole time.
Well, hold the phone, guys. Hold the phone. Let's just see what's going on here. Referee Corbier is...
Point.
Now we're going for point. This must have actually come back. Bailey offside in front of Eloff when he attempted the drop goal. We got a little caught up in the hysteria here.
I knew it was a little too good to be true.
And they will go for 3 points instead. Apologies to the viewers at home. Put the champagne back on ice.
Early going in this game, something tells me we're going to see a lot of stuff before the final whistle, but they're going to have to go for 3 the old-fashioned way here, Dan.
Yeah, Coach Osborne, before the match, was telling us, he said, listen, this potentially is going to be a wide open game. You're starting to see a little bit of it. In the beginning, it was kind of bogged down in there, and New York had the ball for the first 8 minutes of the game. And now I think you're going to see an explosion about to happen.
Eloff, first points from New Orleans. Oh, gets off the upright. This is the Bears game. Cody Parkey, JP Eloff is it the same person? Have you ever seen them in the same place at the same time?
Never, not once.
Oh.
Did not expect to see that either, Dan, but here we go. Ball in hand for Gold, driving deep.
High drama here at Gold Stadium. There's New Orleans, 2 in a row off the goalpost. Youngett now. Got to be advantage there, yes. Not rolling away there on New York as Marsh comes up, shuts the play down quickly. They've got numbers to the left here, well stacked out. Biden's, and he quick ball off the back of the Canadian. Youngett. He'll take one more settler through Howard. Gets an assist there from Lambourne now. Let's see what they do, one more around. You see Tar, where's Striffler? Biden's showing his versatility as he steps into scrum half. Now Youngett will go. Gale picks up Howden. Howden flat pass wide. Eloff. Well handled there by the 14 in O'Keefe. And no advantage will come all the way back for the penalty for New Orleans.
Yep, this one's, again, in rugby, that ref is going to let things play for the team that has the ball. As long as the penalty's not on them, they're letting it go.
There's the offsides we talked about.
Letting it go until he decides to blow it up.
Yeah, that's our first doink right there off the uprights. As you can look at our official, Paul-Henri Corbière.
Surprising too, NOLA Gold has been so good with their kicking thus far in the season, practically automatic.
Yeah, Eloff was perfect last week, and by the way, he does lead MLR in scoring right now at 38. He was 5th in the league last year, despite missing those 4 games with his neck issue.
But in a game of position, NOLA Gold is in a great one.
Well thrown, well taken there. Thompson off the Howard throw. Now New Orleans rolling with the maul. This has some good momentum here, New Orleans. Can they keep their feet? Sitting at the back with Howard. Howard pumping. Howard over. There's the try. They won't take that away from them. New Orleans, they lead 5 points to 3.
There's one way to remove any ambiguity from a scoring drive, Dan. Put it in your forward's hands and make it a maul.
He is the captain. He actually scored in week 1. Here's the replay, Ian.
Here's, you can see them forming up there into that classic maul shape. So hard to stop once they get rolling. That narrow, tightly packed battering ram of forwards, moving it. Really hard for New York to get their feet under them and put up much of a resistance there until the time is right. NOLA Gold drops that ball and collects their try after a really protracted and quite dramatic effort to get that done. Think about those 2 missed goal attempts, both of them donging off the uprights. Not just a miss, but putting that ball back into play each time.
Like I said, J.P. Eloff was absolutely perfect last week, and he gets that one to give the 7-3 lead for the gold. Hey, don't miss every division and every class of LHSAA girls and boys basketball championships right here on CST. The girls tip off live coverage on Cox Sports Television March 1st and 2nd. And then the following week, the boys teams take the court with games on March 8th and 9th. Stay tuned to CoxSportsTV.com for times and to find out which teams will face off in the 2019 All-State Sugar Bowl, LHSAA boys and girls, and they call it March Madness because it's out there in the bayou. So as we go on to the play, by the way, you're used to seeing here, if you watch the last 3 games on television or listen to them, they've been scoring wide open. And this first score here by Eric Howard was what the old-fashioned way, down low and getting it rugged.
Hey, you've got to have everything, don't you, Scott? You can't just be socks up, good hair, fancy play on the outside. The big guys down the middle, they get it done too, and they get some glory. There's now Wallace Sims. Blewett. Well, I'm really looking forward to this. The chess match between the wingers out here, Blewett and Wallace Sims. It's been a great battle thus far. And that's a fantastic effort from Bentar, and you'll see the players come in and give him a pat. He looked like a lumberjack there as he just chopped his opposite number in half, forcing the handling error. Now a scrum for NOLA Gold. And Scott, you mentioned that first 8 minutes, it was all Rooney. One of the things that can concern a coach is when you have that much territory in possession, you don't put on the points that you deserve. And now it's starting to swing in NOLA's advantage.
Well, just like football, for those of you new, you know, if you get down there and you drive, and you only get a field goal out of it, you know it might come back to bite you later.
Great defensive play there, too. And one of the things we love about rugby, right, is all the players that have their specialized positions on offense. On defense, you've got to make those hits. And NOLA Gold sure did right there.
You know that, guys. I don't want it to find no space. Here we go. Yeah. Come on.
Scrummaging, of course, the fine art is always under discussion, always up for assessment by the official. He always wants to see a really clean, safe, most of all safe, scrum to get this thing going. Of course, the 8 biggest men on the pitch for either side, binding up, could be potentially dangerous. It has to be very tightly controlled. Doesn't matter if you're club, high school, or the pros here.
Set.
Youngett, he'll have the put in. Good platform, and there's a penalty. Pulling that one down against Rugby United New York. Geez, that's a mouthful. Let's just stick with Rooney, boys.
I like Rooney.
You know, they came up with that name themselves, and I like it. It's got a certain New York to it, right? It's got a little New York saltiness, Rooniness to it. You can see what happened here, Dan. New York pulling that scrum down. That's going to be considered dangerous play anytime the ref sees it. The advantage goes to Gold, and it's a huge one. They take full advantage of that call with that kick, getting them right about the 5. Now, we saw last time they had this opportunity, what do? They went from that line out, which they've been so good at, to a maul, which at this distance is so dangerous. Let's see if they go that move again or try to get into the hands of their speedy backs. Let's see what kind of defense New York can muster.
They go to Bailey again. Good target. That one peels off. Oh, good work there from New Orleans. They caught the counter against New York as Bidens, he picks down that right-hand side. Howard, try scorer already. As he returns to New Orleans from international duties with Canada, as does that man Bailey. The man who may find himself back in that lineup is Hubert Bidens. If his form continues for NOLA Gold, surely a recall to the Canadian side is in his future. Here goes Youngett, plays out the back. Cross kick, oh, it's open. Need the bounce here. It's a bounce, oh, it beats everyone out the back. Tikawasuva, they had the advantage. And we saw Carl Marsh earlier for Rooney trying the crossfield kick. Foley, anything you can do, Carl, I can do just as good. The bounce of the ball, though, not good for the goal. They have the advantage and the penalty.
Give it up to the New York defense on that one. Your back is against the wall. Again, a game of inches, you have precious few left, and they put up a real Saracens defense on that one. Blocking phase after phase as those big boys from Gold kept on pounding. It looks so easy. It looks like you could just reach that ball over, but when you have a determined defense like New York just showed, not as easy as it seems, and of course didn't work out at all for NOLA Gold. They went for that wide play, and it went a little rambunctious on them.
Howard to Bailey again. New York know what's coming. And again that counter over. It's the new guy, Tony Lamborn. And look at them rush in. You can see how big of an addition he has been to New Orleans. They pick up the Kiwi and give him a strong pat on the back for a job well done.
Well, that's it. That's what NOLA Gold was looking for from this guy, and he showed it. That quickness and that power.
The leg
combination
drive.
of both. A shoe came off, but it wasn't going to stop him at all. That's Tony Lamborn, of course, New Zealander in at number 8, making his gold debut, and that was his first score. Surely one to be celebrated in some fashion by ruggers everywhere. And a hard-fought one there for NOLA Gold after trying that exact same play off of that maul, hitting it, losing the ball in that kick that went wild, and back to what they had, back to the basics. Success.
Well, you see exactly why they call him the Beast. They've been looking forward for 2 weeks since they signed him for this moment, and he got that first try literally within the first 20-plus minutes of this match. But J.P. Eloff, who, like I said, was perfect last week, let's see if he can get this score again to get the second conversion of the game for the Gold.
It's asking a lot there of New York to defend 2 try-line runs there off of mauls. So successful that first one. Number 2, much different story.
Eloff out wide. There you see a great shot of what lies ahead of the number 15. That one will swing to the left. Unsuccessful. Score remains 12 points to 3 after 23.
Water break.
They're going to take their 20-minute water break right here, and we shall do the same. Hey, you're watching NOLA Gold Rugby right here on Cox Sports Television. Primetime Sports features the biggest sports and entertainment stars from Louisiana and the entire Gulf Coast region. Hey, I bring you every weekly in-depth interviews with players, coaches, local musicians, artists, and so much more. Even the governor comes every once in a while. Catch new episodes Tuesdays at 7 p.m. right here on CST.
That's Scott Alexander. He's a good guy, isn't he?
That chump, if I find him, that's his butt. There you go. So we're going to get a little more Nat sound coming up here. I'm looking forward to it so you can hear a little more of the crowd. The crowd is filing in, filling in. It's like New Orleans, Ian, you know how we are. It's always a late arriving crowd. The Pelicans fans don't show up till almost halftime, and the Gold fans are kind of doing the same thing, keeping up with tradition.
Well, what you don't see on the screen here is over in the corner, underneath one of those big Louisiana live oak trees, there's a bar. Where are a lot of those fans every chance they get? They may be visiting the concession stand. But it's a beautiful day out here. It's a little steamy in New Orleans, not a surprise, even for this time of year. NOLA Gold's certainly used to it.
And for you locals, Australians love the bar just as much as we do here in New Orleans, because I've met plenty of them when I lived overseas for a year.
Yeah, it's always a good bet you'll find one or two where there's something to be drunk. And right now, they are drinking in some great rugby from New Orleans Gold. They were under the pump early on in that opening 10 minutes. Rooney looking to turn their fortunes around here. There's Thompson. Quick little tip on. Youngett waits. Back into the pocket. Gale goes to the left. This one down the middle. Matina, he'll have a chance to counter. He finds Marsh. Marsh bounces back. And Thompson comes at Marsh and brings him down just on his own side of halfway. Big clean out comes in there. Heavy contact. As New York, that one may have spilled forward. Referee Henri Corbière happy to let it go, and now the penalty. Petrie Tapped quickly. Youngett comes at him, brings him down. You see Corbier looking to his assistants to see if they'll back 10 metres. Now Marsh, the dummy. Marsh sliced right through. Marsh beats the fullback. Support on the inside. Wallace Sims. What a try for Rooney under the post. Put that one down to the Irishman, Cahill Marsh.
Just shows you, Dan, it looked like Gold was on a roll there, but you were in this game, you were always one mishandled play, you were one missed tackle, you're one penalty away from things turning right around quickly. And boy, did New York take advantage of the opportunity they had there coming off of this penalty. Watch how fast the ball comes out. Look at his moves. He just fakes them. He knows he can get past those big forwards, give him the opportunity. Keeps it moving, gets it to his man at the last possible second, who plants it under the uprights, setting up his kicker perfectly. What a beautiful try for New York, and they wanted that one pretty bad to get him back into this game early on.
And Dan, Marsh is everything you told me before the match. And by the way, the guy who actually got the try from the assist, Connor Wallace-Sims, was on the first 15 the first week, so that means he made, basically for you new to the game, the all-star game of, each week they do it here every week in Major League Rugby.
Marsh now looking to convert a try he was heavily influenced in. Conversion successful, 12 points to 10, 2-point ball game. New Orleans in the lead still here. So we take a look at the replay. This is the danger, gentlemen, of having a fly half in Marsh wearing the 10 who runs with the ball in two hands. Look at Dottie here in the forward jersey for New Orleans. Ball in two hands, he gets excited by assumption on the outside. That leads to the big hole that Marsh slides through. And then just a couple of missed tackles, and Wallace Sims, good winger backing up on the inside, gets the rewards. But Dottie's going to have to be careful for New Orleans. He can't be ball watching there and looking at the runners. Marsh, he deserves more respect than that.
And you can see how crucial it is to have your support there. And boy, New York was right there. He had options on either side of them. The timing, the support, everything about that run was just clutch. Oh!
Well, big contact from Blewett comes in. That's the second kickoff Rooney haven't handled. Mike Tolkien will not be happy with that. A coach who stresses the discipline and structure that is synonymous with New York rugby. He did it at Nyack for years, now doing it at Rooney. And now Eloff, here's trouble, Eloff. Eloff slices through. Well handled by Rooney as we go into the 22, tit for tat. Anything you can do, I can do better. That one held up as they get to ground. Youngett now to his right. Gale, short ball. Dottie looking to make up for that defensive discrepancy before. Oh, penalty in possession, not releasing. That's a big one for Rooney, and you can see Holden Youngett, he's not happy. He was pleading to referee Henry Corbier for the penalty himself.
He thought it should go the other way. He thought Rooney was not releasing the ball carrier. Ref saw things differently, but watch this. This is the error that comes off of that lift. He gets the ball, but that big hit comes in, ball coughs up right in the middle of complimenting New York on that beautiful try.
And Ian, it seems like every week they have one of these big hits by Blewett. I mean, he comes in both sides of the pitch. He's getting it done, and you see it once again why he's so valuable to this team.
You see why New Orleans calls him the Wild Man. He is indeed.
Well, Ian, you played a lot of front row in your time. They talk about losing your front rower's card if you try the chip and chase. You make a run longer than 20 metres. Blewett may lose his winger's card if he keeps pulling off these big tackles.
It's going to earn him a lot of respect. I think a rugby team is a lot more impressed with a back that can come up and make a smackdown like that than they are with a prop who tries to do something fancy and inevitably loses the ball. I'm speaking from only my own experiences here.
College baseball is in full swing on Cox Sports Television. Catch the Southeastern Lions Sunday, the 24th, as 8 p.m. Central as they battle the visiting Stony Brook Seawolves. Then on February 26th, the Tulane Green Wave face the Nichols Colonels live at 6 p.m. Central. Log on to coxsportstv.com for the full broadcast schedule.
Love those green waves. What a sight.
Those green waves are very pretty. And this Green Wave baseball team is 1-0. They got the victory last night, 3-2 against George Washington.
That one comes down for New Orleans. New York at the line out, can't get that one done. Thompson, though, spills it forward. Now they'll look to attack. Leonard drives this one downfield, kick chase. Eloff patiently waits to see this just trickles over. And the bounce of the ball is not a good one for New York. This one will come all the way back to where Leonard kicked it, and it will be a scrum for New Orleans.
New Orleans showing some good patience there. That could have bounced another way and set up Rooney with that ball pretty deep in NOLA Gold territory. As it happens, right back here where it started. With the forwards' delight, the scrum to get things back and going. We were remarking earlier, Dan, both packs, very fit-looking group of gentlemen here. You don't have too many of the bowling balls you saw in the old days. You got to be everything in a rugby squad.
Ian, looking at some of the statistics, we've got front row players playing 80 minutes through the opening 3 weeks. In a bygone era, unheard of. It would never happen. But now the fitness of these players, the professionalism that Major League Rugby has brought and given them an opportunity to train full time, we're seeing these incredible athletes doing incredible things week in, week out.
Yeah, the conditioning comes into these games hugely, of course. 80 minutes, such a long game, constant flow. New York has been off for 2 weeks, so it's going to be interesting to see as the minutes tick on in this game how that may affect their play. New Orleans, of course, has been battle-tested for the last 3 weeks into their 4th game.
One of those guys you mentioned, Billy Stewart, he went from 225 to 255, and he's played all 240 minutes, but he's coming off the bench today.
Now, New Orleans will look to attack. Oh, Foley! Foley right through, picks up Eloff. Eloff picks up to go with Zuba. What a try for New Orleans, pushing forward in support. And Foley, he set that one up with a beautiful dummy outside the 22.
Bang, bang, boom. That's how fast it can happen. We saw earlier how New York stitched together that beautiful try of theirs with support. New Orleans does it again. They've scored twice now off the maul with the big boys up front battering it in. This time it was to the backs, through the hands. Look at that shake and bake. Made the guy think twice. Hands it off to Speedy Eloff, and there's Kasuba to finish it off with a beautiful try there. New Orleans gets their momentum back, 17-10 right now, awaiting the conversion. And of course, it'll be a narrow one for Eloff, who has missed a few already. The uprights, of course, presenting a very narrow target at this angle. Can't wait to see that try again. In the meantime, New Orleans waiting to see if they're going to have a 2-possession advantage here or keep it at 1.
Big kick coming up here. It's Gale.
Scotty Gale, yep. Scotty Gale this time with the left foot.
Change in the kicker there after the performance so far this game.
No change in the result, though, as that one goes across the face, unsuccessful. One more look at that try. Beautiful work here. Look at Foley, just catches it. It's Matt Houston, the former NOLA Gold player, just gets a little lazy on his inside shoulder. As Ben Foden, he was interested in JP Eloff on the outside, and that's what led to the initial break. Great support play from New Orleans.
Yeah, that support play, that diamond shape, that delta. You've got your wingmen on either side of you giving you options.
And for those of you, again, once new, hey, these conversions are 2 points. It's not like it's just one. And, you know, that's 7 points they've given up already. A miss by the kick, the 3, and then 2 conversions. So they've given up 7, whereas last week they were absolutely perfect on all kicks.
And the man you just talked about, Stewart, he's on the field. Thompson looks like he may have come up. He may have picked up a little niggle there. We'll see if we can get an update on him throughout this game as Marsh fields this inside his own half. Back to Matina. Matina goes high.
Away, 5, no!
Oh, Eloff and Youngert, a little bit of a lack of communication between the 9 and 15 causes the error. And that's a great pickup for Rooney, who have really been starved of possession and territory here in the last 15 minutes.
You see them both coming at that ball, Dan, and yeah, one of them should have waved the other one off. They should have had some sort of better communication there in that one, because that stings. That could have been a really nice take. Instead, bounces off the chest, gives the ball to Rooney in pretty good field position here for their scrum. Of course, the home crowd getting into it. You can probably hear the chant, NOLA, NOLA, NOLA. This is a football town that is learning to love rugby. A lot of rugby faithful out here. We see a lot of jerseys from different club teams, college teams, high school teams, even some youth squads that are in development here in New Orleans. And so far, Major League Rugby has been giving them a great product.
Yeah, and a good thing, no pass interference rules in rugby for New Orleans fans, so nothing to worry about there.
Dan, let that be the last time you mention that in New Orleans. It'll be an awfully long trip for you if you keep bringing that up in mixed company.
I'm on their side on that one.
I got 3 words for you. Way too soon.
It is a soft peach, as we say down here in the South. Dan, soft peach. You know,
can you tell we're still bitter?
Crouch.
Saints reference.
Bind. Sit.
Into the closing 5 minutes of the first half here. Petrie with the put in at New York. Would love to call back and tie this one up before the break. Marsh goes wide. Foden. We've waited to see him explode onto this game as he goes wide to the Irishman O'Keefe. He's brought down inside the 22 here of New Orleans. Marsh back towards the middle of the field. Flat pass. Picks up Deacon. Petrie back down to the blind side. Leonard. Youngkid does well as he peels off the breakdown to bring down Leonard. Petrie.
Advantage. Offside wide.
Foden with a strong run there.
Mark is here.
They come back to the middle now with Houston. Marsh. Inside out Marsh. Dummies almost slides through. Reaches out Marsh. He dots it down for a try. Cahill Marsh does it all himself. His impact on this game in the first half has been enormous.
Huge, and Rooney really loves that one. You can see that persistence, that patience to keep the ball moving, to keep the ball driving. That tri-line fever that we mentioned earlier, that temptation to go 110 miles an hour when 90 miles an hour will do the job. They showed the persistence and patience to ease off just a little bit and get the job done. The ball looked like it could have gone wild there at the very end, but he has the hands to bring it in the midst of a tackle and touch it down.
Well, you mentioned Marsh's impact on this game. By the way, it's Gold 17 and Marsh 15. He scored every point with tries and kicks, and he's got another chance for 2 more. So he got the first kick to start it. Obviously, he got the try, then the conversion, and now another try for Cahill Marsh.
Again, what's at stake in this game? New Orleans 3-0. They have the opportunity to close out a home stretch of 4 games perfect, if they possibly can. The only one in the league to do it. New York, meanwhile, with 1 win behind them, looking to show what kind of team they are in their inaugural season in Major League Rugby. Would love to come out of this place with a win.
Conversion successful. All tied up.
Hey, this copyrighted telecast of NOLA Gold Rugby may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of Cox Sports Television, NOLA Gold, and Major League Rugby.
You see how that ball comes out so quick from the ruck. New Orleans trying to organize in defense, but they leave some gaps there, and Marsh just marches in. He's down, but not completely down. The arm stretches out, achieves the try.
Dan, obviously the boys from New York came to play. This is going to be wide open, and as you can see, it's already tied up for the first time at 17. Lots of scoring in general. I mean, most of the other matches I've seen around the league have been like 17, 15, or 23-20. The Gold seem to score in the 30s and 40s every single game.
A tight game. 34 points already scored in the first half, though. Almost a point a minute, so very exciting for the fans here and the viewers at home as well. High tackle on Leonard there.
Perhaps a little too excited for Gold to restart that one in the final minutes here of the first half. High tackle, and we had a New York player down, showing the symptoms of the result. Gives his team a chance to restart right here at the halfway mark. 6th penalty on NOLA. You have to think when they go back into the locker room, however this first half ends up, that's going to be a topic for conversation for Nate Osborne and his squad.
It's definitely something for the Gold to fix into that second half as Petrie goes to Marsh, finds Sims out the back door. Petrie again looks to go quick. He's still got it, Petrie, hasn't he? 2015 World Cup, he hung them up. Mike Tolkien coaxed one of his favourite players out of retirement to come back and lead this Rooney side in its inaugural season. And he is still firing, he's still got it. The old man, Mike Petrie, as Marsh just dribbles this one through over the sideline inside the 22 and NOLA. It'll be a line out for New Orleans as we close in on the end of the first half here.
Marsh trying to set up his man there. If he can scoop that up, unfortunately goes a little awry for him. Bounces out, that wobbly, unpredictable ball of destiny. New Orleans has been very, very good in the lineouts through the season, and today no exception. So crucial to be able to keep these when you can.
That one over the back, well fielded by Lambourne, who then dishes off to Striffler. You said, Ian, so important to close the half out in a positive manner. A lot of points come late in the half. Eloff clears that one. Not quite outside the 22. So now it's Rooney who will get the last say here in the first half.
Yeah, great point, Dan. We've seen it in many games already this season. That late half boost for one team or the other can really be a momentum changer into the half.
And it was for us last week. Of course, we got the penalty try right at the 40th minute to go up 17-10, and they were down 10-3 just a few minutes before that. So, yeah, we can see how the tie can change right at the end of the half.
Fawcett, that one over the back. Marsh comes through, not straight. You heard the call through the referee's mic. There will be a scrum here for New Orleans. You'll think they'll soak up some clock here and try to get this ball over the sideline as quick as possible.
Yep, there's the horn announcing 40 minutes have passed. Of course, the ref probably has a minute or so in his pocket. He's going to let it play on. Likely the last play here, see what they can do off of it. If they keep the ball, they may decide to kick it out of bounds, just end it, go into the locker room and regroup, or perhaps get it out wide. See if they can't get something going here in the final seconds to go in with that momentum. Of course, New York would love to get their paws on this ball and end the half on their terms.
That will help their cause, takes away the pressure at scrum time. Lambourne makes an executive decision to hoist that one over the sideline, ending the first half.
And for the first time this season, the NOLA Gold don't go into the locker room with the lead, but it is tied. Rooney 17, Gold 17. We'll be right back. And welcome back to NOLA Gold Rugby. You see the score 17-17 for the first time this half, or this season. It is tied at the halftime. It's the first time the NOLA Gold have not been in the lead. Last week it was 17-10. This week, Rooney gets that first score at the end of the half to make it 17-17. I'm with General Manager Ryan Fitzgerald. If you know anything about the rugby world, rugby magazines, and all the podcasts they do around the world, this guy right here has been the talk of it all. He built this team, the NOLA Gold, and now they are 3-0. Very unexpected, but Ryan, welcome. How you doing, my friend?
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Everything's going well.
By the way, you built this team. I mean, listen, in the offseason, people knew you were getting good players, but the cohesion is the thing I think most people are surprised about.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, last year we had a lot of good core guys. 20 of them returning. Added some really key players coming in from overseas and some collegiate All-Americans. And the brotherhood and the culture and the locker room is really, really strong right now. Guys like each other, playing hard for each other. And when we have some guys away on injury and some international, we still have people step up and make some plays.
I think the biggest difference is last year, if you had an injury or you had a guy have to go play international ball, well, then you didn't have the backups. This year you have the depth left. It was Eric Howard, Kyle Bailey, obviously Cam Dolan left, but the backups have been just as powerful.
They have. They've come in and everybody, our coaching staff does a great job of breaking down exactly what your role is, exactly what your job is, and then from there it's just executing. And all the players hold each other accountable as well. So if you know what your job is, you know what your assignment, and you're being held accountable by the fellow players, your fellow brothers left and right, everything comes together.
I know you're a competitor, you're a Marine, you always want to win, but let's be honest, as opposed to last year when you're kind of hoping to win some games, now you're expecting to win them. How does that feel?
Yeah, we do. We expect to go in every game, expect to win. We say recommit a lot in our locker room and in our clubhouse, where we come in, watch the game tape on Monday from the last week and we recommit and go at it again, taking it one day at a time. I know that's the cliche term that everybody wants to hear, but it's true. You got a 16-game grind here. Obviously, we couldn't ask for a better start at 3-0. We're in a dogfight right now here with Rooney, who's a very, very good team. We're going to need guys to step up all year, play through adversity.
And like I said earlier, this is the talk of the entire Major League Rugby, and this guy's the main reason why. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
Keep up the great work. He brought in Tony Lamborn. You see in the first 20 minutes of this game, this match, he scores an early try. Hey, we're coming back for more at halftime right here on Cox Sports Television. It's halftime at Gold Stadium in New Orleans, Louisiana. As the Gold are in a bit of uncharted territory. It's halftime. It's tied up this time as opposed to having the lead in each of the past 3 matches. And Ian McNulty, what is the mindset when you don't have the lead for the first time all season? You are the favorite pretty much for the first time that people are expecting you to win these matches. What's going on in their minds right now?
Scott, new season, still a new league, new teams coming in. There's a lot of feeling each other out, right? Like seeing what your strengths and weaknesses are going to be. From the beginning, this was pitched as the battle on the bayou. And let me tell you, this has been worth the price of admission so far. Has not disappointed. Every time it seemed like one team had the momentum going into it, the other would capitalize on an error or make their own luck, make something happen with some really athletic play and shift the whole momentum right there. We saw it go back and forth so many times. We've seen those hard mauling tries from NOLA. We've seen those expertly threaded kneels by Rooney. And I think the second half is going to be explosive again. I think we're going to see fatigue possibly be an issue. And I think each side is going to have to be really careful about those errors.
Hey, Rooney came to play, but I have to tell you, Dan, you predicted this. You said it would happen. What happened in that first half?
Well, it was a tight one indeed. The opening 20 minutes, a real war of attrition between both these sides. It was NOLA who got on the board first with the try. They retook the lead. Like you said, down 3 points to 0 early on. Eric Howard, what a welcome return from Canadian duties for Eric Howard. He gets a try. They would go right back to the maul, unsurprisingly, seeing success there. This time it's the newcomer, Tony Lambourne. What a powerful runner. He's so scary. Even his boot was scared. It fell off after that try. Didn't want anything to do with it. But they hit back. And it's this guy right here, Cole Marsh. How good was Cole Marsh in the opening first stanza? On fire. Everything he touched turned to gold. Sorry, the pun against New Orleans there, but he was that good. That
Turned
was
against gold, you might say.
Yeah, right. This try also, poetry in motion. Tikawasuva gets it down in the corner. Rooney would get the last say, though, in the first half. Great lead-up work from Petrie, and Marsh does it all himself. How good has it been to see Mike Petrie getting things done for Rooney? You got big Lou Stanfield out in San Diego as well, making me feel like I should be out there still doing it. 2 of my former teammates getting it done for those sides, but what a great game we've got here already, Scott.
You're still young and lemon, Mr. Power. Hey, by the way, Kyle Marsh, 17. NOLA, 17. We'll be back for the second half right here on CSD. Oh, we've got a barn burner on the bayou right now. It's NOLA Gold 17, Rooney, otherwise known as Rugby United New York 17. We go into the second half kickoff, and it's going to be a lot of action right here on CST in Gold Stadium.
Scott, you got to feel like both teams here probably feel like they left a lot on the table in that first half. Some costly errors, some penalties. It seems like both teams probably came back into the second half thinking, if we can tighten this up, this game is ours. That's a strong position for your restart here.
It is, and it will be NOLA getting us underway as they restart. It opens up right down the middle, though, for Rooney. And Leonard looks like he goes for a long run into the NOLA half already. Not a great start for New Orleans as Rooney straight on the attack with Marsh. Comes out the back, Matina. Striffler does well to bring him down. Puts him back on Rooney's side of halfway now. Petrie. Big collision comes in there on Cassidy. As now Petrie goes to his left. Under pressure there, Leonard. And now it's NOLA making territory without the ball. Good defense. Foden wide. Haven't seen much of Ben Foden. 34 caps for England. Probably one of the most decorated players currently playing in Major League Rugby. Very few could argue with that resume. As Petrie goes to the box.
Play on.
Eloff been waiting for an opportunity to counter. As he almost gets away from the attention of Wallace Sims there on the outside. Youngett moves this one back towards the middle of the field. They're right on the halfway line now, NOLA Gold. As Youngett shifts it again. Lambourne. Well, I tell you, gentlemen, Tony Lambourne could be one of the buys of the year. When Cam Dolan returns, you would think he would take his 8 jersey back. You're going to have Bailey, Lambourne, and Dolan as your back row.
And oh, by the way, you're taking out number 7, Jack Striffler, who's the leading tackler in MLR, if you do that. So it looks good for the backups as well.
Maybe we can play with 16.
Yeah, let's go with that. We'll lobby the league.
The Striffmeister, he can sneak out there for a couple of minutes as Biden's now. He rumbles forward. Low pass, Lambourne does well. Howden. A little stagnant here from NOLA Gold as they look to find their momentum here in the second half. Biden's well contained as well. Gale. Picks up Dottie. Dottie with a nice little offload to Foley. Foley's a danger man off that second phase play. Now Gale, he's had enough of this midfield back and forth as he drives that into the 22. Now Marsh returns fire. Eloff will counter. Finds Youngett. Youngett now wide to Gale. Gale spots some real estate in behind O'Keefe. Well-weighted kick there from Scott Gale. If this one will sit up just short of the line, what a nudge from Gale. He awaits for the return fire. Gale with plenty of time goes midfield. Eloff. Mike Tolkien said before the match, gentlemen, Eloff on the counter-attack. So dangerous that kick chase will have to be on point. There it was there as Howden steps into scrum half. Finds Howard. Howard brought down right on the NOLA Gold crest here, which adorns the middle of the field at Gold Stadium. Gale again, 2 hands, Lambourne. What a pass, Lambourne on the outside, couldn't link up. I think it was Suva. There's Foden. He takes the ball before finding Matina. Now Houston can't get away from Tar. Could be turned over here. No, it's coming through the gates. Side entry, and they go quickly. Petrie. We saw him do that in the first half. It led to a try. This time, though, not releasing. Great work from NOLA Gold to get back on the poach. And this is an exciting start to the second stanza.
Yeah, you got a lot of high fives there in the NOLA Gold pack up front. Probably counting their blessings a little bit there, too. We saw some luck in play. That ball moving around earlier. You saw Tony Lambourne with that nice run, but then an interception, a turnover by New York. But, of course, right back here, it's New Orleans ball after that penalty.
Your man Mike Petrie does not look like he's 34 years old. I mean, he'd come out of retirement, but he still looks like he's in his 20s.
Thanks, Scott. Just heaping it on. I deserve that for the New Orleans Saints comment. I get it.
Your former teammate.
But a lot of credit must go to Holden Youngett there against his opposite number. What a big treat for Holden Youngett too. It's fantasy, but it reminds me of the Rocky Balboa, where he comes out of retirement and he fights, and the commentator says, "I never thought I'd be calling a Rocky Balboa fight." Holden Youngett is probably like Mike Petrie. He was in college watching Mike play at the World Cup, doing his things. I'll never get a chance, and here he is, squaring off and doing incredibly well against Petrie.
I love a Rocky reference whenever I can get one, because that's my era. 1976, baby, I was a kid.
You see Holden Youngett rocking the gold-dyed hair, not his natural color, it turns out.
As it turns out.
We've been watching him closely. We know his hairstyles from his mutton chops, famous around New Orleans, adorning his cheeks. He dyed his hair gold there after committing an infraction in practice. That was a penalty dished out by his teammates, we learned.
Here you see the penalty against Fluid. Yeah, that's a good call. That's a good call. Foden didn't have possession when he made the tackle, and you can't tackle on suspicions. You've got to wait until the player has ball in the hand, and that was just a matter of inches, that one. Half a second, Foden's got the ball. It's a clean tackle.
Wild man, a little too wild there, but the instincts are right. You want to be aggressive. You want to go after that and attack it just a bit too soon.
And by the way, his hair is actually really gold. That's no dye in Tristan Bluett's hair.
That is gold indeed. The golden fleece. He's born to play here.
Petrie off the line out, finds Marsh. Marsh plays out the back to Leonard. Jinking run from Leonard. Now Foden comes down Matina. Matina, 2 tries for New York against San Diego in their opening game. Hard to believe that was 4 weeks ago today. No ring rust here for Rooney early on in this second half. Still tied up though, 17 points apiece. As now they come wide. Wallace Sims, he scored Rooney's first try here today. Looking for a second. Quick hands. Again to the right, tough pass there. It was a little messy at the back. There's Deacon. They have advantage here, New York. Look for something from Marsh. Oh, I don't think he was looking for that. I put the mocker on him.
You see how fast Rooney has been in moving this ball. The ball seems, to the casual eye, it appears like the ball carrier is about to get hit, but boom, it comes out right at the last second into its mate's hands. That's just good ball movement, good control, good support too for your teammates to be there, ready to take that hit, take that pass.
Yeah, a lot of Leinster fans tuning in will remember Karl Marsh. That was he's such an aggressive player, guys, at the line. He takes the ball to the line, plays, as they say down in South Africa, he plays in the mouth of the lion. And he's not scared at all. Ball in 2 hands. He loves that little inside pass. Yeah. Watching some of his highlights from his time at Leinster, he was so good at committing that first defender in, opening up that A gap for his runners.
But speaking of aggression, Dan, I think we're seeing that again on this play call right here. They want to take this line out. They want to go for the try, not content to look for 3 points.
The Butcher, force it. Strong throw. Picks up Cassidy. Cassidy, oh, the offload was there, and the Butcher knows it. The Butcher knows it. He pounds the dirt in disgust at himself. That's 5 points gone begging there for Rooney.
That's frustrating. You hate to see that, and you hate it when it's on you as a player, because you know maybe you wouldn't have gotten it on that exact play, but you would have set up your mates for a good, strong run there. Instead, some breathing room for the NOLA Gold as they get the ball with their own scrum.
I just want to know how he got the nickname The Butcher.
Or he just likes shaving off some meat.
I like it.
Crowd is getting into it. Home crowd giving their chant, hoping to be that extra push behind the NOLA Gold scrum.
Sit.
Big scrum. They get the penalty though. Yep, intentionally trying to wheel that scrum around against Rooney. Burrowing in there. And this is a huge pressure reliever, gentlemen, as now NOLA will have a chance to clear off this penalty.
And you can see this scrum, how low it is. Then it wheels around, it comes to pieces. Ref blows it up, gives the ball to New Orleans. a chance to kick for space. And as you said, that breathing room.
Hey, can you explain what illegal scrummaging is once again for the newer?
Well, Scott, you want that scrum to be moving back and forth. You don't want it to be wheeling around like that. Sometimes it'll happen in an actual occurrence of the scrum, but if the ref determines that one team is trying to drag the scrum down, is trying to give up pressure on one side in order to wheel it the other way, he's going to blow it up.
So there's the wheel.
Considered dangerous play.
There's it back to live action. Another penalty here. Pulling that maul down. As you see, the front row of Bidens and Tar, they punch their ticket for the day.
See, a lot of rugby is wide open, do what you wanna, but many of these penalties will come in with any kind of player safety involved. It's high tackles, bringing down the scrum, stuff in the maul, the bad stuff the ref doesn't want to see.
Yeah, we get our first look at the impact of the bench as Harmon and Sullivan come on in 16 and 18. Falcon in 17.
As we mentioned, fatigue will be an issue surely as this game ticks on. It is February, but it's not cool here in New Orleans right now. Quite humid.
And it's also worth noting that a former Gold player came in right at the halftime. Anthony Perry played 2 matches for the Gold last year. He came in for Rockford at the beginning of the second half.
He was one of the lone players last year, New York native, back to his roots for Rooney. As O'Keefe under pressure, inside his 22 does well. Now he's swarmed on.
Advantage.
By
5 blue side entry.
plenty of NOLA players coming in, and now they have the advantage as well. And you can see Gale getting himself into position here, just behind Dottie. You see Dottie in the 4 jersey, Gale just off his right-hand side. As they peel around, yet again, Youngett waiting patiently. Bailey down the blind side, Lambourne. No advantage, will come back for the penalty.
5 blue side entry.
And so far today, Scott, they've gone for the try on these penalty situations. Kicking game, you mentioned it, a lot of points on the board with a penalty and 2 missed conversions. We take a look at the replay, but you think they go to the corner again here?
I'm going to say this, like you said earlier, the Gold, they've been scoring 36, 40, and 41. They know they're going to have a lot of points, and both sides know it. So I guess, like you say, they're going for the points, the 5 and the 2, as opposed to just the 3.
Time on.
And no surprise, Scott Gale finds the sideline.
It will be very, very close to the New York try line right here on the 5-meter line, looks like.
Well, Ian, 2 tries in the first half from the maul on the line out. Not surprising here.
They've got a lot of confidence in their big boys, that's for sure, and they've been proving it, but they've delivered pay dirt so far when they get this close. Have to win the ball first, though.
They find
do.
Stewart. Well taken. Lambourne. Isolated there, Lambourne. There they have advantage against Fawcett. Now comes decision time. Yes, happy to wait for the penalty. Cynical play inside the 22. Let's listen in here to Henri Corbett. We could be seeing a yellow card.
Say more. I know my job. It's a
This is huge for both teams. Unfortunately for New York, very, very hard blow there. Their number 2 coming out to the sin bin. He'll be out of play for 10 minutes, which means New York will play a man down. It's going to be 14 on 15. And in the scrum, that could be huge. Their number 2, their hooker, so clutch, so crucial for keeping the ball.
Sorry, Ian, what they're going to have to do is bring on another replacement. One of their backs is going to have to leave the field because you have to have a complete front row. So when 1, 2, or 3 get a yellow card, one of the other players will then basically do the time with them while a front row player gets subbed on. They'll still play with 14. Here you see Mike Brown. He's the replacement front rower. He'll slide into hooker here, and one of the Rooney players will actually go off the field. When Fawcett comes back on, they'll be able to make that swap. But that is a huge tactical deficiency here now for Rooney.
They're going to miss Fawcett for sure. He's been a force to be reckoned with so far in this game. And of course, that opens up possibilities for overloads on the outside for the New Orleans backs.
And what I love is when you heard the plead for the non-penalty call, the referee says, I know my job. So he made the call decisively.
As they must. One ref, 2 touch judges, 30 players all convinced that they were right and sinned against always.
So tactically, in another big choice, do you replace an outside back or do you replace a forward? Rooney have gone with Matt Houston. They're going to play one down in the scrum or maybe bring a winger in to play on that blindside flank. Either way, it's not a good look. If you've ever seen a winger pack into a scrum, it can be quite amusing at times. So now NOLA will turn the screws at the set piece here on Rooney. One more infringement here could be a penalty try. You've seen a few of those already this season.
We have. Only amusing for the opposition, unfortunately. Crowd is getting into it, urging on their scrum. They taste a little blood in the water, perhaps, hoping that their team can capitalize on this advantage they have now with numbers.
Here we see the scrum, Youngett with the put in. And they start marching forward as you would expect. Lambourne, patient at the back. They march forward. They march forward. Continuing, Lambourne, great control. Now Youngett pops it out. Foley, just short of the line, inches in it there for NOLA. That's got to be some side entry from Petrie. It is, they peel out. There's the try, NOLA. They retake the lead, and it's 2 try, Tony Lambourne.
There's the beast for you. Earning his reputation here in his first game for NOLA Gold. Watch this, Dan. Watch how patient NOLA Gold is here. This Younger hovering over his ball and his 8-man just dragging it along with his foot until the last second. Out it goes. The first attempt just shy of that try. But while New York is still trying to regroup, he strikes, crosses that line with authority.
The leg drive on the piece is unreal. Ryan Fitzgerald, the general manager, his new acquisition has paid off dearly with 2 tries already in the first 55 minutes of the match.
That was a beautiful scrum again, dragging that ball along with his boot, getting in a position. If they could have gone all the way over the try line, believe me, they would have, but they could see that thing coming loose. So Holden Younger wisely pitched it out to his waiting runners. And Lambourne able to come out of the scrum at 8-man and be there for the second phase to strike.
Big kick coming up here for Eloff. This one to stretch the lead to 7. This one's coming back. It's coming back. It's through the post. 24 points to 17. We're into the final 25 minutes here.
Gives a little Australian there, puts a little curve on it like a boomerang, coming back between the uprights to make it a solid 7 points. And that's our first score. 15 minutes gone in the second half here. Whereas in the first half we saw a little quicker scoring. Second half, perhaps an issue of fatigue, perhaps an issue of holding back a little bit, of not wanting to give anything up with time declining.
Alexander McDonald comes into the match. He replaces the number 6, Kyle Sumption.
Remember, of course, the sin bin penalty shows up in all phases of play. On defense, they're a man down.
Stewart there, spills the kickoff as he tried to take that ball back. It was Breakley who forces the turnover. Now a player down, Parry. He's just swamped.
18.
Now Petrie finds Marsh. Marsh, Foden back inside to Leonard, right on the 40-meter line of New Orleans here. Petrie to Parry, Parry. Again, caught flat-footed, Parry does well to monster his way out of one tackle, and then charges forwards as Parry. He turns what could have been a negative play into a very good play. And Cassidy, he just lumbered into that one and was hit hard by New Orleans as Marsh now. Foden, a little bit of an opportunity here for Ben Foden wide as he takes it up to the 22 of New Orleans.
Not really easy.
Not releasing the tackle player. That's a penalty for New York. And now here's an interesting choice with a player in the bin. Don't be surprised if they elect to take the 3 points on offer. They can take up probably 90 seconds of time with that 10-minute yellow card.
That's a great point. And by the way, for those that don't know, it's kind of like hockey in the power play. When you lose a man, you're a man down. It's not like you replace him like you can in American football.
We'll see where this penalty comes in here. Scott, see Tristan Blewett going for the ball. The tackler doesn't release him fast enough for the ref spiking. And New York going for territory instead of the points. They're still burning a little bit of that clock in their sin bin, but now they've got themselves in a pretty dangerous striking position to perhaps answer that try that New Orleans just put up. Got to win the ball first, though. Gold has been good in the line-outs, as we've seen. New York, no slouch either. We'll see what they bring up.
Yeah, we'll see Mike Brown's first throw. We talked about Dylan Fawcett. He's in the sin bin with a yellow card. You mentioned hockey. Very great explanation there. There you see Fawcett. An infringement, especially in the red zone inside the 22, will always be ruled on rather harshly from the referee. Corbière sent him to the sin bin for 10 minutes. So they'll play with 14 against 15 for 10 minutes. They do well to take the line out. Brown takes it up here. Get some points. Well, down to 14 would be huge for Rooney. So they find themselves in the 22. Leonard. Great line speed here from New Orleans as they are moving up very, very quickly in defense. Deacon. Well met there by Sullivan. Still with New York, though, inside the 22. As we get our first look at McDonald's, ball in hand. Petrie throws a dummy. It shuts very quickly, though, for the 9. Brown goes wide. Deacon blew it. Shoots in from his wing to shut that play down. That's why you look at the stats every week. Tristan Blewett, he's right up there in touches and tackles. Foden looking to inject himself into this game here. Parry as well. Right on the line here. New York, can they convert this pressure into points? That's the question. As they are down to 14, they go wide. Marsh at the back to Sims. Sims, one-on-one O'Keefe. Well handled. And you see the extra man advantage coming into play here for New Orleans as they just allow New York to shift that ball. Playing very patiently in defense. No advantage will come all the way back for the penalty.
We've got a Gold player down over there from some of that hard defense right at the try line.
Wow, it looks like Tristan Blewett got a knee to the face, and that is a huge, huge injury for the Gold. He has obviously been, along with Elof, the team MVP in the first 3 matches.
Another man down here on the other side of the pitch. Hopefully just getting a little water.
The captain, Eric Howard.
Looks like they're doing a little concussion protocol on him, seeing what situation is. No, they're taping his head. They're taping his head, giving him a little break.
I've got to give our trainer Red some love right there. He's the guy that stitches them up all year long. This is going to be the second half water break. We'll take one as well. You're watching NOLA Gold Rugby on CST. After a bye week, the NOLA Gold hit the CST airwaves again next month. Hey, don't miss it when they travel to take on the Utah Warriors March 2nd and the Houston SaberCats March 16th. We're back at Gold Stadium on the 23rd against the Austin Elite. And then off to Glendale to face the Raptors again on March 30th for the full broadcast schedule. Hey, visit coxsportstv.com.
20 minutes left in this game, and as promised, a barn burner, a close one. No team has been able to stack up a lead, and they haven't been able to preserve it very well either. It's gone back and forth. NOLA 7-up right now, but New York knocking on the door, certainly threatening here. Still a man down with their number 2 Fawcett in the sin bin. New Orleans tending to some injuries there at the water break.
That man with the ball has all 17 points
Go back.
for Rooney right now.
Oh,
Looks like they'll restart it just about where he was holding it on the 5. If you're New York right now, you've got to win that ball. You're probably going to keep it tight with your forwards, knowing that you're a man down through the line.
Throw from Brown, strong to Breakley. They'll look to maul this over. You see Petrie at the back, such an experienced campaigner as he marshals the troops to go forward. They're driven back though by New Orleans. Oh, big tackle, crunching tackle. Comes in there on Marsh. It was Gale on Marsh. Now Breakley offloads Brown, needs some support, doesn't find it. Brown as he's brought down literally about a yard from the line and now turned over. Referee calls timeout though.
Shoelace
Let's just
tackle.
listen in here to see as we take another look, have a look at the size of his hit. Gale comes up quickly on Marsh. Oof, the big right shoulder. Thank you very much.
That's one of those hits you can hear in the stands.
okay. Next. No, wait. Yeah, next up.
Shoelace tackle by NOLA Gold preserves, saves what looked like a certain try.
I stand corrected. One of those tries earlier in the game was Connor Wallace-Sims, who was on the first 15 in week 1 for his excellent play in their victory against San Diego, right? Against.
Okay, essentially what this is boiled down to is a redo. New York kicks for touch. It's going to take it from the line out, right back where we started a few minutes ago. Clock is stopped. Ref's time.
And there you see Dylan Fawcett back on, 10 minutes up for Rooney. Only giving up that one try during that period, and they have the chance to claw that back here as they're knocking on the door. Now back to a full contingent of 15 as they roll close to the line. They're over the line. We could have a squared up ball game yet again here. Rooney, they strike back.
That maul, Dan, you see how dangerous that is, how hard it is to stop. Both teams have demonstrated that with their good form, taking it slow, being patient with it, getting all your big guys close together, that straight line, that battering ram shape. If you can't get your feet underneath you as defense, if you can't get enough guys in there recycling enough, fast enough, back to the back of that your defensive wall, nearly impossible to stop once it gets rolling.
Could you tell who scored that one? I couldn't even figure it out. I thought it might have been Matt Houston, the former Gold player at first. Our cameras are showing the hooker number 2, the hooker, Dylan Fawcett. It's officially Dylan Fawcett. That's what we got from the try.
Back from the sin bin with a vengeance, I'd say.
Making up for that yellow card. You're right, Ian. No better way than to make an impact immediately on your return. Fawcett has done that. Now Marsh with this big kick on the far touchline with a chance to even this ball game up yet again.
Nothing says I'm sorry to your mates like scoring the try. Apology accepted, New York says. We'll definitely take those points. Let's see if they can tie it up here. A pretty narrow attempt.
Absolutely no mistake off the right boot. It splits the uprights. Cole Marsh continues his fantastic form in this game. And there you see Dylan Fawcett, use your head, guys. Play smart. They have not exited well off the restarts so far today.
That's right, Dan. We've seen a lot of missed takes there, some knock-ons. Every kick has seemed to be a pretty strong chance of a turnover here. Gold would love another chance to keep this one deep in their territory. Not this time.
Wallace-Sims clears this ball up towards the halfway line. It'll be a NOLA line-out as we enter the final 15 minutes here at Gold Stadium. 24 points apiece.
0-0 in effect. Two teams that have not shown any willingness to cut the other one a break, exploiting off of mistakes, mauling the ball in, lacing it through with the backs.
Messy line out, well done to Holden Younger to get back and secure possession. Now Bailey. These tight games really come down to experience. He's got Mike Petrie, Ben Fodden on one side. On the other side of the ball, you have Gale, Howden. Up front, Biden's. He's actually on the bench. He's not going to do them much help. Maybe just in words.
But he's still 37 and a grizzled veteran. He can give some sage advice from the sideline.
There's a good run from Dottie as he takes it forward. Now they go wide. Gale finds Foley. Foley to Howden. Eloff now. Foden comes across. Brings him down on the 40-metre line here off Rooney. Come back to the middle of the field. Good touch there for Falcon. Gale plays the corner, notices the wing is up, has one of his own players down. I'm not sure if he saw Tikasuva. He's down in pain. Doesn't matter as Eloff comes at Matina, brings him down. Then Howden comes in. Rooney under pressure here. Petrie takes his time, waits for his players to get set. Now they work this ball up close to the 22, looking to buy some real estate here to help clear. Here's Rugby United. Off the boot of Petrie, goes high. That one finds Sanctuary over the sideline. Gale not looking to go quickly, happy to take the line out on the 40-metre line here of Rooney.
Good demonstration there, Dan, of how much territory can mean, right? Kicking that ball away, you lose possession, but you can put yourself in some really good position there. Every change of ownership of that ball, a chance to contest it. New Orleans nearly got that one off of that kick.
You see Matt Harmon coming in for the line out. He was on the first 15 last week as the sub for the captain, Eric Howard, so he's back in the game for the first time since last week.
Not a bad quality player to bring off your bench, Scott, as they go short. This one picked off, though, by Marsh. And now Rooney, they'll have the ball just short of the halfway line here. Petrie pleading with the referee for a penalty. That ball spills out, in comes the clean out. Could be turned over with the counter ruck here for NOLA. And it is, there you go. And you can tell the intensity in this game is starting to rise, gentlemen.
Slight bit of chippiness around the shoulders there for both teams. You saw that ball turn over several times in just a few seconds there. Marsh all over this pitch all day. We've been calling his name so often. Plucked that one out of the air. Couldn't keep possession of it as NOLA Gold was able to poach it in the next phase.
And if there's feistiness on the Gold side, I don't even have to look up. It's usually my man number 9, Holden Younger, the new golden boy. He loves the feistiness for sure.
Rocking that gold hairdo for today's match.
It's more like bronze when you mix it in with his natural dark hair. Kind of became a little bit bronze, but we'll go with gold.
I'm loving the mutton chops. Looks like he stepped right off the Broadway set of Hamilton. Channeling his early era.
I like it.
The forefathers.
He's going for a scrum cap of facial hair, basically. Ref saying we're only going to do this right. You can blow that whistle as often as you want on these scrums. Up to the forwards to meet his expectations.
Set. Scrum goes down, penalty goes to Rooney. And that means a lot. Rugby United New York had some issues at scrum time.
Backs are saying thank you very much, forwards. Thank you for your effort. Back here, appreciating that. So now it's their ball. Kick for touch.
This ball goes up to the 22. Rooney with the throw in here. 24 points apiece. Everything we would have expected from these sides, they're leaving it on the field, all tied up. When You look at both rosters, gentlemen, probably two of the most talented squads, and both undefeated coming into this game. Rooney just with one win, though, but they showed enough on the road in San Diego to announce to the league that they are here and they are a threat.
A win here would be a major statement, having displaced the 3-0 Gold if they can pull this off. Gold, of course, still clutching to hopes of making it a 4-0 start.
Great take at the back there from Breakley. As they'll look to maul this ball down towards the 22. It's at the back with Fawcett. Continues to push forward. They have the advantage for side entry here. Look for something special from Marsh. Out the back, there he is. Cross kick, under pressure. The bounce could dictate everything here. Advantage not coming. Will come all the way back, and you can hear the crowd disappointed. We can hear the referee's mic. He called advantage, so that's why Marsh went for the kick. And this penalty within kicking range here for Marsh. At this point of the game, would not be surprised to see him take the 3.
Of course, Marsh knew he basically had a free play with that. He could see how things worked out. Tristan Blewett was in great position to run it back, but of course, playing on penalty advantage, the ref was going to blow it up and give it back to New York when things started going against him.
And at this point of the game, Marsh will take the 3 points into the final 10 minutes. Not a surprising decision here.
Could be consequential for sure. We've seen these teams battle it out for 70 minutes now. Whenever one side seems to get the momentum, the other snatches it back away. I think we could be looking at a 3-point game here, perhaps. Certainly it's going to come down to the final minute.
You know, I hate to say this, but the missed kick and the 2 missed conversions, they all count, particularly in rugby. The conversions, like I said earlier, 2 points as opposed to 1 in football. And they're not gimmies like they are in football. They're obviously from all different angles. But here's Marsh to give them the first lead since the first half. And this will be the first deficit the Gold have faced all season in the second half.
Strikes the ball, turns. You know it's good when they turn early. And Marsh, well, if they can hold on here, he well and truly player of the game. He's been instrumental in this Rooney performance today. No mistakes, 27 points to 24 as we enter the final 10 minutes here at Gold Stadium.
We've been calling Marsh's name a whole lot, that's for sure, but let's give it up for the whole New York squad on defense, because they've so far been able to corral NOLA Gold, holding them to 24 points thus far. That's a lot of points, but not for this squad, not in the games that we've seen so far this season. So if they came in here with looking for a strong defensive effort, so far it's paid off.
Well, I was wrong earlier when I said Marsh had all the points, but he still has 22 of the 27 scored by Rooney. So fantastic performance by him. But now, like I said earlier, this is the first second half deficit, Dan, that the Gold have faced all season. What do you expect from them from here on out?
Well, you look at their experienced players, none bigger than Kane Thompson, 3-time World Cup player for Samoa. He got knocked early in the first half. I think they've really missed his leadership in the pack. Ian, I don't know, you played a lot of time up front there. You just missed that veteran, that calm influence that Thompson brings to the side.
Yeah, of course, that dynamic, that the clockwork with which your scrum meshes together. And that one did not go like clockwork at all. Bouncing off of the Gold hands. Give the ball over to New York.
Marcus Walsh comes on at scrum half for Mike Petrie. His first kick is a positive one. They'll have to scrum here just on their own side of halfway. Just soaks up precious time off the clock for NOLA, though, as Rooney, they are looking to get a massive win on the road to stay 2-0 for the season.
With the clock looking as it does and the scoreboard, if New York can turn this possession into points, it could be a game. Gold saying, no way. Just give us that ball back one more time.
Walsh at the back, patient. Finds Leonard. Leonard goes forward, strong run from the inside centre there, and Leonard Still with Rooney as they come around. Counter ruck comes in. Does enough to slow the ball at the back there for Rooney. Gives New Orleans a chance to reset as Houston. Again, wow, they've really welcomed the former goal player back here with a couple of staunch hits today. That one over the sideline. Smart play there from Marsh. Again, takes up more time off the clock. We saw last week, gentlemen, Houston on the road in San Diego, unable to manage their clock at the back end of the game. Kyle Marsh showing exactly how it's done.
Very slim lead here for New York, but of course the way this game has gone, with the stinginess of each side, with the strong defense of each side, 3 points counts as a pretty big advantage here.
That one taken by New Orleans. Now Gale goes wide, Foley. And this pass goes wide again, out to Feeks. Now we've got some running as Elof gets on the outside. Demore Morrison comes out in the substitute winger and finally brings him down, but they're up near the 22 already here after the first play. New Orleans knocking on the door. 3 points tie it. A try will give them the lead. Elof, his long run put them in this position. Penalty goes against New Orleans, though.
Costly. The groans in the stands. You can hear it, especially after JP Elof rips off that run he's been looking for all game to put his squad in a good spot there. Undone by costly penalty there. New York content to take their time.
Ed, ball time is correct. Perfect.
Foden clears this up into New Orleans half. It'll be a New York line out on the 40-meter line.
You mentioned Elof earlier. He had 342 meters coming in this game. Hey, listen, I'm new to this game, but that's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. 153 alone last week in an outstanding performance against Seattle, a team known for their defense, Scott, and he ran for 153. He's had another big day here. He would love a few more, though, if he can get his side a try and the win here. But it's Rooney with this line out. Over the back. Ball sits up. Marsh comes through. It was Harmon and Marsh both going for the ball. Marsh, he gets the good so. As Rooney still pushes forward. This time with McDonald. Leonard doesn't like what he sees out to his outside and jinks his way back to the safety of his forward pack. Now Walsh. Big contact again comes in as Dottie looks to make an impact.
Use your shoulder, no arm, anytime.
And there goes shoulder charge coming in. There's no attempt to wrap. That one will be a penalty every time. And now Marsh here, well, it's in his range. It's right at 40 meters. The question is, does he want to extend this lead to 6?
Or keep possession.
Or keep possession and territory in their favor?
I'm thinking they're going to keep this ball, Dan, and milk this clock. It's in final minutes here. Fatigue is setting in on both sides. You can see that in some of these penalties they've been picking up. It'll be a New York line out behind the 22. Very deep in New Orleans territory. New Orleans has to be very concerned at this point. I know everyone here in Gold Stadium, all the hometown fans, hoping for some lucky break to turn things around, to give their guys the ball a chance to at least tie this up very late in the game. Chanting starts.
Big throw for Brown. Comes out, that's Fawcett over there, sorry. And now, can Rooney run out the clock here? They'll start with Deacon. Walsh comes back to his left. And they're just going to set up these pods and continue to bounce left and right until Marsh sees something he likes. This one, back the other way. And there you see another pod to the opposite side. This is how you run out the clock.
Keep it with your bigs. Make sure everyone's got support when they come in. All you need to do is keep this ball moving and keep that clock ticking.
Maintain possession and try to run out the clock.
It's Walsh at the back again. Goes to force it. Nothing silly here from New York. There's fans in New York tuning in on the edge of their seats. Can their side hold on here? Going up against the front runners, the table toppers in New Orleans. What a win on the road this would be for Rooney. As they continue to sit just outside the 22, New Orleans will wait patiently for a turnover. They don't get it. They don't get it. It's the infringement from the side. And this should take us through to the full-time whistle. Let's see what Marsh elects to do here. He has 90 seconds to attempt a penalty. He'll ask referee Corbier how long is left.
If you kick on back, we go on the line on. If you tap and you kick, it's fine.
But there you go. There you hear tap. Kick over the sideline. And that will bring the full-time whistle from the referee. Rooney have caused the upset on the road over NOLA. 27-24. And Rooney, they improved to 2-0 on the season. Mike Tolkien and his men on one of the toughest road trips come home.
You see these two teams battle it out for 80 minutes, Dan. It looked like either team could have had an opportunity to seize the initiative. A lot of penalties, a lot of misplays there. Kind of kept some of the points off the board. But at the end, the defensive effort of New York to corral the offense that we've seen Gold deliver in earlier games really paid off for them. They deliver the first loss to NOLA Gold here at home. As you said, great road win for New York. Big statement for a new team in the league. Still undefeated 2-0. New Orleans falls to 3-1 as they prepare to embark on a few road games of their own.
Congratulations to Mike Tolkien and his Rooney club coming in, but we'll have more coming back right here from Gold Stadium on CST. NOLA Gold Rugby on Cox Sports Television is brought to you by Michelob Ultra Pure Gold, the official beer of the NOLA Gold. By Boomtown, the official hotel and casino of the NOLA Gold. By Louisiana Tourism. Don't just live the moment, be the moment. Visit louisianatourism.com to plan your trip today. By Magner's Irish Cider, the official cider of Rugby United New York. And by Motion PT. With clinics throughout New York and Connecticut, Motion PT gets you back to what moves you. Welcome back to Gold Stadium, and the home team took it on the chin today in a very well-played match, 27-24. And Dan, the experts, and you're one of them, hey, they picked against the goal 7-1 in the first 2 matches, and the goal won. In match 3 against Seattle is more mixed, but the gold won that. This time, everybody picked the gold except one, and they fall. So please pick against the goal the rest of the way.
You got it, absolutely. But a great test for Nate Osborne and his players to bounce back from this. No need to hit the panic button. They've run into one of the best sides in the league, along with themselves in Rooney. I wouldn't be worried they'll go away. I think they'll look at the tape, and it's a 50-50 this game. If they played 100, it's going to be half and half between 2 great sides. Ian, your thoughts?
This is why we watch rugby, baby. It is a tight game, big hits, those skilled runs, those mauls up front. Major League Rugby is it's putting on a show for rugby lovers, and I think it's going to be making some converts too with all the action that's unfolding on our screens before our eyes live at the stadiums. I'm thrilled with the outcome of this game just because it shows how competitive this league can be.
Hey, congratulations to all in New York. Rugby United New York gets their 2nd win, but the Gold are still in 1st place. Hey, thanks for joining us on NOLA Gold Rugby on Cox Sports Television. For the Aussie Dan Power, and of course, Ian McNulty. I'm Scott Alexander with the final score, 27 Rooney, 24 NOLA. We'll see you next week.